Welcome everyone to this week's talk show. I am your host, Daniel Matthew Scully, and I'm joined by Eugene. Eugene, how about you go ahead and give us a little introduction about yourself?
Okay, sure, Daniel. Thank you for passing the mic for me. So my name is Eugene. Everyone knows me as Gene. I was currently 7.5 in Diploma in Mass Communication and old senior in INTI University.
All right, and just like Eugene, I'm also studying mass communications. However, I'm a little bit of a junior here. I'm still in Sem 1. Eugene's in Sem 5, so he's kind of like my senior. So today's topic is about our relationship with our parents. So Eugene, why is it important that we have important, or I guess any close relationship with our parents at all, I guess you would say?
Okay, for me, the important ways is the family is our first school in our life. We learn a lot and see a lot in our family before we start going to the kindergartens or primary school until university. So everything we start coming out, like including our attitude, like behavior, will make our personality. Yeah.
I see. I guess you're right as well. Our parents do kind of have that influence on our behavior and how we act around in public, and just the way we behave in public in general, right? We have to be ethical, and we have to be really, really careful on how we act as well. So I guess that really plays a really big role on why it is important to have a really good relationship with them. What would you call a good relationship with your parents, Eugene?
Okay. For me, a good relationship with parents, right? I would like to say it would be a proper communication with parents is the best way to get along. Because we know that typical for many people having a good communication with parents normally, because they have a big gap in thinking between these two generations, and our lifestyle is completely different. Like, I know that often will happen some conflicts in communication if you have facing this before, but there's one who gives us life, right?
True,
yeah.
True. I guess for me, a good relationship with my parents would be just to, maintain that daily conversation. Like, it doesn't need to be a constant sort of communication. You don't really need to have a conversation every day, but it's more of like, it's the little things that count. The good morning, mom, good morning, dad, good night, mom, good night, dad. Those are the things that matter the most at the end of the day, because it's still establishing that connection of you acknowledging your parents and letting them know that, hey, I love you, and that's really a good relationship enough, in my honest opinion. So now let's move on to the next kind of part I want to point out is what would happen if to people who don't really have a good relationship with their parents? What do you think would happen to them?
On this point, right, I would like to say that there's two ways for good and bad. If having a good relationship with parents will make the child feel loved, like tolerate and care, like in the relationship they feel like, oh, I'm being loved. And this all affecting the children with having a good foundation on the interpersonal relationship with people. But if we're having a bad relationship with parents, right, it will make the child feels unloved, like I can't feel any love element on me, and then they will affect them to not trusting anyone when they step out from the family or the home. Yeah, this is my opinion.
I definitely agree with that. I feel like, yes, again, going back to our first point, parents do really have that huge impact on a child, especially how they act and how they behave. And not having that close relationship just doesn't really give that effect into a person's life, and it may cause them to go, completely berserk in the public world. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, totally agree.
For me, I think like you said, it really does it does make them go a little bit haywire in the head, I guess you could say. But I feel like without that parental figure, they may find themselves a bit lost sometimes. They may find themselves stuck or not knowing what to do. They might not know what's right or what's wrong, and they may get into trouble for all of these wrong things that they don't even know themselves is wrong. They don't have that parent or their guardian, I guess you could say, to guide them on the right path on, what to do in the real world. Exactly.
I know, right? But regarding on this point, right, although we're happening a lot of conflicts in our communication, but if we find out all these analysts, the starting point for our parents is all good. They want to like just caring on us, like they want to bring all good things to us. That's why happen a lot of conflicts, cause like we mentioned just now, we're having a big gap in these two generations. So sometimes we need to try understanding our parents' thought first before we start bergaduh. We're using bergaduh because we need to know other people's points. Is what is the difference between these two people, the points or anything, that we can come out a good communication, because you know what the people think already ma. Like I know what is you buy from the shopping mall, like you buying carrots, I buying like eggs, so we can like mix together to come out a carrot egg or something. We will like know people's point will more better come out a good communication because we know people thinking thoughts.
Right, right, exactly. So Eugene, what would you say your relationship with your parents is like?
Okay, for me and my parents' relationship is kind of like friends. We sharing a lot of things, like what friends share with the friends, me will share with my parents, like friends too. Cause like my daddy now is working in Singapore, so we were like every day having a phone call and video call with my daddy, like in the night time, like just now happened just now. Yeah, in every day 7 p.m. Yeah, after the dinner.
So
yeah,
you do video call your dad every day.
Yeah, me and my mom, cause me and my mom stay in Johor and my daddy was Singapore, so phone call for every day.
That's really nice. It's nice to see you guys keeping intact and again keeping that close relationship as a father and a son figure. That is really amazing. For me, I guess you could say my relationship with my parents is it's all right. It's not too bad. Nothing too crazy or anything. It's just like you said, I guess we can call ourselves more of like the friend star type, where I'm definitely way more closer to my dad, if you ask me, in my opinion, compared to my mom. It's just anything that comes into my life, I can always talk to him about it, and I can always just go to him for any sort of advice, just because he's a guy, I'm a guy. And I'm not saying that my mom can't solve any of those problems just because of our genders, right? I'm saying that it's just she can do things that my dad can't, like for example, in terms of like hard work. Like my mom, she cooks every single day, 3 meals a day. Like she does all of the housework. She's working her butt off every day, 24/7, doing all of the house chores. It's honestly respectable, and I'm not saying my dad doesn't work any less either. It's just they both carry their own weights, and it just goes to show that like how much they care for us, especially as children and just as their children.
Cause they're taking different roles in family.
Exactly. Yeah. How about you go ahead and lead this one? Go ahead.
Okay, for me, I was major in public relations, so I know that communication is a very important element, not just happen in my future jobs, and also very important in every single relationship, because we need to communicate, to share the points, the thought. That's why we can go through for everything in the future. So, like we mentioned just now, these two generations having big gap in thinking or in speaking or in culture and everything. But in having a good communication, we can know what's your thought in your mind. Just keep sharing. We know that Asian parent and Asian child is a very special trend that everyone talking, not just in Facebook and TikTok. But having a good communication, it can really settle a lot of things, including conflicts and maybe misunderstanding. Because it really happened in my family by using this communication, by making a good communication relationship with my parent. So communication is a very important element. We need to just go through with it. Just open your mouth, share your mind with your parent, and just sit down with maybe a cup of tea or coffee, doesn't matter. At least we can having a good relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with your points over there. Communication definitely is the key. And going back to your point on conflicts, I guess I could relate to that as well. Sometimes me and my parents, they don't really get along with me or see eye to eye. So we do have our little sort of bickering and stuff like that along the way. But that doesn't change the fact that at the end of the day, you are still a family. You need to open up and you need to communicate and tell them like, hey, I'm sorry, or this is how I felt. I don't really appreciate it that you talk to me this way, or you're not understanding me. You gotta voice that out to them, because like you said, the generation gap is really big. They just don't understand. And I guess that's something we can all take away as well, is that the generation gap now is definitely shifting a lot due to social media and a lot of these new trends coming along. So it can be really hard for them as well. And I'm pretty sure they're not trying to make it any harder for you. They are definitely trying their best to be the best parents that they can for you guys. But the thing is, it can be very hard to understand. So we need to be the ones that communicate at the end of the day and help them to understand us and help them to understand our generation and to help them understand us better as their children. Yeah, so the last thing I guess we can talk about is well, how can we reconnect with our parents if we do feel that sort of discord or like disharmony between them? So Eugene, do you have anything to suggest to our our listeners if they're watching, if they feel a little lost or if they're feeling a little out of place from even in their own families?
So regarding on this, right, I would like to say that why not we try to assimilate into our parents' life? Like we can just helping our parents, like for mommy, we can help our mommy like cooking, like discuss a recipe. From recipe, go through deeply because we know that we need to find something same, like the topic, same topic, just go through it and then go through deeply. And then from there, share more and more to reconnect the lost connection. This is one of the way I can suggest everyone because I tried it before. We know that conflicts is the one thing that will happen forever and ever, but we can come out the ways. Because I believe one word is the ways will be more than a question. When question happen, we need to do is come out the ways to settle the question. Yeah.
That's amazing, Eugene. And I do have one last point I want to share with you. Now, we do understand that some people have their parents unfortunately separated. They may be divorced or even not living in the same house together. So what do you feel, or what could you say to the people who feel a little lost, who don't feel like their parents are in the right space and they're constantly jumping back and forth and fighting with all this fighting from their parents? What do you think that they could do to help them or anything?
Okay, so without daddy, without mommy, without one of them, we can't stay at here. So we as a child, we also as a bridge. So the bridge is to maintain the two ways, the two buildings. So why we here is we are the bridge, not just a child, we're also a bridge roles. So we may start from ourselves, like know their thought in this kind of relationship. Maybe they are divorced or they are fighting. So we need to know these two person what they are thinking in their mind, their thoughts. And from there we come a conclusion or solution to help them to rebuild the relationship. Because like what I said just now, we're not just a kid, we also arose in the bridge. Yeah.
That's amazing, Eugene, and I definitely agree with you. It's our job as their child. We came from both of them. There's literally no way that we could have come from just one of them at all. Yeah. So it is our job to help them get back together and find that what made them love each other in the first place. We need to rebuild that connection, and that's what a family is. At the end of the day, a family has to stay together, and love comes from your home first. That is definitely something we can take. But until then, unfortunately, I think that is all the time we have for today's episode, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for sticking around, Eugene. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you in the next week's talk show. Bye, guys.
Okay. Thank you, Daniel. Bye, everyone.